touch no hollow thing, neither shall she come into the sanctuary during the days of her uncleanness. Let's go over to Luke chapter 2, and we're going to pick it up at verse 21. I'm going to show you what happened with Jesus. Luke chapter 2, and we'll begin reading at verse 21. Because the law applied to everybody. Luke chapter 2, and we'll begin reading at verse 21. 2 and 21. Okay, go ahead and read.
And when 8 days were accomplished for the circumcising of the child.
Now this is Jesus here. After 8 days, because on the 8th day he had to be circumcised, didn't it? When 8 days was accomplished for the circumcision of the child. Go ahead and read on.
His name was called Jesus.
Go ahead.
Which was so named of the angel before he was conceived in the womb.
Go ahead.
And when the days of her purification, according to the law of Moses.
Wait, whose law was it? Was it the law of the Lord, right? Yeah. That's what. Did we read over there where the law was given that it was the law of Moses? It was the law of the Lord, right? Well, why is it called the law of Moses here? It is called the law of Moses because the Lord gave it to Moses for Moses to give to the people. But it was not Moses' law. It was the Lord's law. So now, he said and when the days of her purification according to the law of Moses was accomplished, go ahead and read on.
They brought him to Jerusalem to present him to the Lord.
Go ahead.
And as it is written in the law of the Lord, every male that openeth the womb shall be called holy to the Lord.
Go ahead.
And to offer a sacrifice according to that which is said in the law of the Lord, a pair of turtle doves or 2 young pigeons.
So now that was the law, and that is what they had to do. But now we find out here, that the circumcising thing on the 8th day, that wall went, and then the woman had to stay away from the sanctuary until the days of her purification was complete. Let's go further. Let's go now to Isaiah chapter 58, and we'll begin reading at verse 13. Isaiah 58, and we'll pick it up at verse 13. 58 and 13. No, you don't kill animals no more, but that ain't got nothing to do with you being unclean. You still unclean. Isaiah chapter 58, and we'll begin reading at verse 13. 58 and verse 13. 58 and 13. Okay, go ahead and read.
If thou turn away thy foot from the Sabbath, from doing thy pleasure on my holy day.
Wait a minute, he said, now if you turn away your foot from the Sabbath, from doing your pleasure on his holy day. Well, what about watching TV? Well, I'm going to tell you right now, if it's not in line with the true word of God, then don't do it. I ain't talking about some of these movies that's supposed to be religious that got everything wrong. I'm talking about dealing with the true word of God. You want to sit down, pop you in a tape or something and watch it? Fine. You want to watch a religious program that's dealing with the true word of God? Fine. Anything, I like football, and the playoffs is on today, man. That's why I wish you would hurry up and shut up so I can get back home to catch the playoff game before it go off. That sounds like your pleasure to me.
It is your pleasure, that's right.
No. You understand what I'm saying? Catch it after the sun go down. Whatever part of the game is still on after the sun go down, catch that part of it.
That's right.
But the part that comes on while it is still a Sabbath day, you are doing your pleasure, and the Lord said, don't do your pleasure on his Sabbath day. Read that verse again.
If thou turn away thy foot from the Sabbath, from doing thy pleasure on my holy day,
go ahead,
and call the Sabbath a delight.
So now, and you call the Sabbath a delight. It's not a burden. Because it become a burden to some. Oh, man, I can't do this and I can't do that. Oh, man. You understand what so it's not a delight to you then, is it? It's a burden to you. But he said you call the Sabbath day a delight. I'd be glad to see the Sabbath get here. It is always a spiritual rejuvenation for me. for some reason, after I keep the Sabbath day, I just feel better. You understand what I'm saying? I be woke out Friday evening. Sometimes I be sitting there trying to read. I can't keep my eyes open. But man, I go to bed and rest and get up on the Sabbath day, and I just feel so good. It is a delight to me. You understand? It is truly a delight to me, and that is what the Lord wanted to be. He said, let it be a delight to you. Go ahead and read on.
The holy of the Lord, honorable, and shall honor him, not doing thy own ways.
Wait a minute, he said honorable. Not doing your own way. You don't do your thing on the Lord's Sabbath day. You don't do your pleasures on his day. Go ahead and read on.
Nor finding thy own pleasure, nor speaking thine own words.
Go ahead.
Then shalt thou delight thyself in the Lord, and I will cause thee to ride upon the high places of the earth.
See what it said? Then thou shalt delight thyself in the Lord. The Lord would be pleased with you. And the Lord said you will ride up on the high places of the earth. In other words, meaning the Lord will then bless you because you have obeyed the commandment of the Lord. Go ahead and read on.
And feed thee with the heritage of Jacob thy father, for the mouth of the Lord hath spoken it.
So now, is it all right for you to do your pleasures on the Sabbath day? Absolutely not. This is what God is saying. This ain't what I'm saying. This is not what the house of Jacob is saying. This is what the Lord is saying here. Let's go further. Let's go now to Ezekiel chapter 22, and we'll begin reading at verse 7. Let me show you what Israel did. Ezekiel 22, and we'll begin reading at verse 7. 22 and 7. 22 and 7. Okay. Ezekiel 22, and we'll begin reading at verse 7. You know, this when Israel was in the land, and but they was about to get taken out. In fact, at this time, maybe some of them had been taken out, because the Lord really had Nebuchadnezzar and the Babylonians to come down and take Israel out on 3 different occasions. You know, they came down, took so many of them out. Then the Lord pleaded with those that was left, you know, get your act together. They wouldn't do that. So he came down, Nebuchadnezzar took some more out. Then he pleaded with those that are left, get your act together. They wouldn't do that. Then he finally came and took them all out. But now, this is before all of them had been taken out. Let's start reading at Ezekiel chapter 22 rather, and verse 7. Go ahead and read.
In thee have they set light by father and mother. In the midst of thee have they dealt by oppression with the stranger.
Go ahead.
In thee have they vexed the fatherless and the widow. Thou hast despised my holy things and have profaned my Sabbaths.
See what the Lord said here about the people? He said, you have despised my holy things, and you have even profaned my Sabbaths. Go ahead and read on.
In thee are men that carry tales to shed blood.
And you always got some hot gossip. And the Lord had a law against that. You know why he had a law against that? Because it caused major problems. You understand what I'm saying? In other words, the Lord just tell you everything he said don't do, that is what Israel was doing. Go read that verse again, because I want to make sure everybody heard that. Go ahead and read.
In thee are men that carry tales to shed blood.
Now he said, in thee are men that carry tales to shed blood. Go ahead and read on.
And in thee they eat upon the mountains. In the midst of thee they commit lewdness. In thee have they discovered their father's nakedness.
Go ahead.
In thee have they humbled her that was set apart for pollution.
Now the Lord had a law. You know, you're not supposed to lie with a woman when she's on her monthly cycle. So they did all that. You know, that don't mean nothing to some people either. But apparently it means something to God. Otherwise, he wouldn't even bother to mention it here, would he? You know, he's telling you about all the things that Israel did wrong, and that is one of the things he took the time to mention here. So now, what you might think of it don't mean nothing. But apparently God is not pleased with it. That is why he had a law against it. Now, what did we finish that 10th verse?
Yes.
Skip down to verse 25 now. Now he's going to tell you